Welcome back to the Naxxramas Raid Guide. In this video I'll be covering Grobbulus, who you'll come across immediately after killing Patchwerk in the Abomination Wing. My name's Ciderhelm from TankSpot, and like the rest of these videos, these are intended for full guilds and raids rather than just for tanks, so feel free to repost them to your guild forums. This encounter is all about movement and positioning. There are several mechanics to the fight, most of them are fairly easy to understand, though a little bit more difficult to deal with, so I'll go ahead and explain them as we get to each of them in this video. First one I'm going to want to explain is going to be the Poison Cloud. This is a cloud that he's going to leave underneath him, and it can be gained through another means, which I'll explain a little bit later here. But you'll see it forming underneath him now, and I've started moving away from him. You should be able to see it at the base of the stairs. He's going to do a new one shortly here. There it goes, and I'm going to start moving. These poison clouds are actually expanding. They'll get much larger, and then over time they will dissipate and they'll disappear. The reason I'm moving away from them is because they do a lot of damage to anyone in them, and I've got to give my melee and my raid room so they're not going to run into these clouds. Veterans of the 40-man encounter are going to find it strange that I'm moving this far. I'll go ahead and explain why. It has to do with the duration of each of these clouds, and a little bit with our positioning strategy here. The Poison Cloud for tanks is very easy to identify when it's coming by looking at his right arm, the injection arm. He'll do a little green flash, and when that goes off, he's laid down a new Poison Cloud. The other part of this, the reason we're moving so far, is because he does something called a Mutating Injection. This is a disease, if I remember correctly, that he's going to place on one of the members of the raid, and here you'll actually see someone with a skull icon running behind me. They're going in the gaps that I'm leaving in this trail behind him. That's a 10-second disease. You do not want to have anyone at any point cleansing this off your raid, or off your raid members as they get it. You want to give them time to run behind in this path and make sure they get a good spot. As soon as that wears off, it's going to lay down a new poison cloud of its own. They have to immediately run out there, and they're probably going to have to receive some heals as they're moving, because it is a lot of damage to deal with. So the reason I am giving him so much space here is so my raiders do have time after getting a mutating injection to run out, lay down the cloud, run back out, and make sure that all of these clouds are forming behind him, rather than in the middle of the room or somewhere across the room, which would be more difficult to deal with. The other thing you'll notice he's doing is he's spawning these fallout slimes. How he's actually doing that is with a slime spray that he directs at me. This is actually critical to the encounter, and you're going to see him spawn 2 of them soon. Here's why. When he actually uses a slime spray, any player that is hit by it, there he goes, any player that is hit by it will create their own fallout slime. Now normally that's supposed to be just the tank, and you'll notice when there are 2 up, I've gone ahead and I've hit shield wall, because it is a little bit more damage that the healers are going to have to deal with, and Grobbulus is not hit all that lightly. So anytime any other player gets hit by it other than the tank, it's going to be additional slimes that you're going to have to deal with. Your off tank is going to want to pick those up, DPS has got to focus on them, bring them down, but that's what you're going to have to deal with there. It's not a whole lot to deal with in terms of an encounter as far as what you're going to be doing, but it does have an enrage timer. Sadly, we did reach the enrage timer. I think it's about 12 minutes if it's still like the original encounter. We did reach it when we attempted to do this with 4 healers, so we had an awkward class balance. This was not very friendly to that class balance. As far as this, as you're able to see as we go through this encounter, the raid is constantly moving in a circle. Melee is always going to be right behind him. This is not a melee-friendly encounter in any way. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So melee, you're going to have to be careful that you're never getting in a poison cloud. You're constantly moving at the right times. You're never standing next to someone with a mutating injection. Obviously, the ranged running in and the melee, you've got to make sure that if you have mutating injection, you're getting out of the way of other players. Worst case scenario, you can drop it in a different place as far as the poison cloud. You don't want to do it, but it is something that you do want to keep in mind. If you have any questions about Grobbulus, if you have any questions about kiting and how the best strategies are or other people's ideas, regardless of your class or role, please stop by TankSpot.com and ask, and thanks for watching the Grobbulus video guide.